Hello and welcome back to Team Peaches Dog Training and Education. My name is Jean Pam. I'm the trainer and educator here with Team Peaches, and I've been training dogs since 1969. If you have seen any of my videos previously, you will know that I am pro e-collar. But I need to make something very clear. E-collar should not cause pain to your dog. One of the issues that I have with folks having these available to them is that they have no training. You don't put one of these collars on your dog and start punching buttons. That is not the proper way of using these collars. You don't grab a remote like this and start punching buttons. This is what a lot of people think. And unfortunately, the little leaflets that come with these collars honestly don't tell you the whole story. These two here items go together. As you can see, I do have it labeled for which dog that it goes to, as everything is adjusted very easily to the dog's neck, etc., etc. This remote has is connected to two collars, which makes it very easy for me to work with them. This is a patter pet. I'm not sure if they even make it anymore, but it has a locking mechanism here. You turn it on like this. I don't know if you can see this. See the little lock there? So you hit it again, and it goes away. That's for doggy number 2. And as you can see here, click it off. You turn the knob. This is the very lowest setting. I normally don't ever go above a 5. As you can see, this goes all the way up to 36. That's the max. You have the battery indicator there to let you know how charged the remote is. I just don't do over 5 as a rule, unless it's an extreme case. Over here, we have the light. You just push it over here. I'm sorry, that's not the light side. This here also, as you can see, well, it changes from doggy number 1 to doggy number 2. This here, I mean, I was playing around with it earlier to make sure everything was going to show up well. But this is level 1, the lowest level. When I show my clients these, they say, well, there's nothing happening. The dog, depending on the dog, they may or may not notice it. When we get up to level 5, some say, yeah, I can feel that. And others were like, I can barely feel it. Well, guess what? Your dog feels it. I mean, they have a lot more nerves in their ears and around their neck and stuff than we do. And as far as the collar itself is concerned, this is actually Daisy's. And I want to show you something here. So we are on doggy number 2, which is Daisy. And let me show you this. When I'm working with the dog, I prefer, whenever possible, only to use audio. And so when you see me or hear me in my video say I'm beeping the dogs, this is what it means. That is it. As you, the indicator light comes on and such. This one here, this collar here, which I really like, also has a nighttime light. So they can be out running around at night and I can see them. See there. It's got some bells and whistles on it, which I appreciate because I use all of these features. Now, the other item on here is it's a vibrate. It vibrates here. And I'm going to put this up against the mic so you can hear it. That's all it is. It's vibration. It's extremely rare that I ever go above a 5 when it comes to stem. I rarely use a stem. It's just not necessary for what I personally do. Do I use these collars for everything? Absolutely not. Is this my go-to? No. A dog needs to thoroughly understand what you're asking out of it before you put one of these collars on them. This is just basically a backup. That's what I use it for. So I'm out with my dogs. I'll give you an example. I'm out with my dogs. Everybody's wearing their collars. I'm in a huge area, which you may have seen with some of my videos. And my dogs are out, they're running around playing, they're distracted. They may or may not hear me call them. Sometimes I have a sore throat, for whatever the reason might be, your dog is not hearing you. uh, and so you're out and about, they're playing and they're having a good time, getting close to a boundary. And this is what you may hear me do. I vibe them. Hey, getting too close to the boundary. Okay, got up, mom. All right, so they move away from the boundary. It's simple. And sometimes they even come back to me, and as they're running towards me, I tell them they're a great dog and such, which they are. And sometimes, for example, when it's time to leave, or, I just simply beep them. That's all there is to it. Now, my dogs are not wearing their collars, therefore, they know they don't have to respond. When I bring out the collars and I show, all I have to do is reach for their collars. That's all it is. And everybody gets excited. Because of the way I train with these collars, the collars are something positive. They are something my dogs look forward to wearing because they know something wonderful is going to happen. I don't train with these collars to cause pain. That is just crazy, in my opinion. And this is something that a lot of people who train with these collars do. They jack up the juice and they actually hurt the dog. And I'm not about that. That's crazy. People really need to be trained. The trainers need to be trained before they ever use anything like this. I recently came across a gentleman online who was also a trainer, was talking about uh, e-collars, and he was going on, like a lot of people, about how harmful these are. Well, you guys have seen my dogs. If you've followed any of my videos, that my dogs are happy, they're well adjusted, they're not in pain, they don't fear these because there's nothing to fear. When, when you train your dog correctly with them, your dog should be happy. They should look at this and say, hey, wow, this is a good thing, let's go do this. Also, a mistake that people use with these collars is, for some reason, people think that you leave these collars on all the time. No, no, and no. They can cause pressure sores when they are fitted correctly. They're not about wearing all the time. They're a tool. You put them on for the time that you need them, and then you take them off. The same applies to a prong collar. I've seen people leave prong collars on their dogs. As if it's a regular collar. No, 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 no. That's not what it's for. Prong collars can cause all kinds of little things, and over time, your dog, when the pressure comes on, you're not using super gentle pressure the way I do with a prong collar. The dog's used to being poked. And guess what? They ignore you, so people yank on those collars even harder. Give me a break. You should use very, very little pressure, if any at all, with a prong collar. The dog is the one that controls that, not you. That's at least that is the way that I do things. I give my dogs a lot of power when I'm training them. It's just not me telling them to do this or to do that. My dogs are actually able to make their own decisions. If I do this, this happens. If I do that, this happens. Yes, no, on, off, as I've said many, many times. The other day I was with a client and I had put the larger collar on her German Shepherd, and larger prong collar, I mean. And I explained to her, I'm not going to do anything here. Sheba is the one in control. Not Sheba, I'm sorry, it's a different dog. Ilya is the one that's in control. I'm not. If she pulls, the collar tightens slightly. If she pulls really hard, the collar tightens a little harder. If she wants to fight it, then the collar is going to tighten a little bit more. When she stops pulling, she'll very quickly understand that, hey, that feeling went away. I'm not going to pull on a prong collar for a dog. I won't do it. I'm not going to be yanking on it. I'm not going to be dragging a dog around with a prong collar on it. That's not the way I use these tools. The dog is the one that decides what it's going to do, not me. A dog will quickly figure it out. If you saw the video I made with Dolly, which I need to go see very shortly here, you'll see that she went from fighting and being, you know, not difficult, but I mean, she just wasn't getting it on a regular belt collar. I put the prong collar on her here at home. I didn't have the owner anywhere around me, but I did it myself. And within seconds, the first time, I was walking her with one finger. There was no pulling, there was no craziness or anything because she figured it out. There was no violence, there was no harm done. Folks, these tools are amazing if you know how to use them correctly. And they should never, ever, ever hurt your dog. If you're hurting your dog, or if you're hitting those numbers on the e-collar, you're doing something wrong. This is my opinion. I plop an e-collar on the dog, and once in a while, I might, I may need to put a little bit of, stem into it. Like I said, I don't go over a 5. If it's properly fitted and stuff, it's in direct contact. If you do take note, notice this. This is not metal against my dog's skin. I will not do that. These are all nice silicone covers to make sure it's nice and rounded. It doesn't poke my dog or anything like that. It's just, look, sits right up against the skin like this. See here? And you got to really push hard. And I'm not feeling anything. Really, it's not uncomfortable at all. And so a properly fitted one should be like right under the jaw, like this, between the artery there. So it's comfortable. Okay, so you've got it on like this. Okay, under the ear. That way you can use the lowest of the lowest settings. There's a lot of nerves that run along this line here. So, when it's fit correctly, it should be like this. So, and not hard, but you should be fitting so it is against the skin, like that, so it's not moving around. Very important. If it moves around, it loses contact. And in turn, people tend to jack up that juice. And it's like, that's not okay. That's an improperly fitted collar. You do not hit this collar every time your dog does some little thing that you don't want it to do. That's not what it's about. You use your voice. You use previous training. If your dog is not coming and you, without question, you know that dog knows to come, well, the difference is you buzz them. Oh, okay, well, that felt kind of weird. But you teach them first to come to the sound. And as a matter of fact, today I'm going to be working with a client on that very thing. Introduce these collars slowly, and then you teach them about the sound. This means come. I normally do not use treats when I'm training, but there are circumstances like when I'm introducing a e-collar, for example. That's one of the times that treats come in very, very handy. It helps with the communication. It keeps the experience gentle and clear. On, off, yes, no, come when I call you. Okay, I hear the sound, and then I hear the beep, which is this, again. So I hear this, come, come, come. Oh, and then guess what? I come and then I get a treat. Oh, well, I'm making the connection. Same thing again. Come. As you can see, a couple of my dogs are responding to it already. That's my good boy. Nice job. Yeah, he's a good boy. He's a good come dog. Good come dog. Yes. He's a good come dog. Yes, yes, yes. And so, praise, 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 praise. People, you've got to praise them. Help them understand. Yes, no, allowed, not allowed. Good job. We don't do that. It's simple. It's simple, people. And so the same thing applies with the prong collars. They're tools. They are not decorations. They're not intended to be worn all the time, you know. And I mentioned a little earlier that I have trouble with people being to have a, I'm sorry, with people having access to buying and these without thought, without training. You know, I would no more hand a scalpel to a 10-year-old and say, hey, you know, cut this thing out of me. Go, let's go to surgery. Then I would just simply hand over an e-collar or a prong collar. They're tools. In the right hands, they're amazing. In the wrong hands, they can do all kinds of damage. They can create all kinds of problems. So, folks, listen. I just wanted to clear this up. E-collars are great only if you know what you're doing. Please do not run out and just grab an e-collar off the shelf or you know off of Amazon unless you know exactly what you're looking for. There are different kinds of qualities of these pieces of equipment. Some of them are great, some of them are not so great. The lower numbers that you get, for example, it has something may say it has 16 levels of quote unquote shock. This means simply that those are pretty intense. Each level is more intense. Okay, this one has 36, and this is the average one because my dogs were trained a long time ago to these, so they know. They know. Anyway, so for example, level number 5 on this might equal on a 16 level collar may very well equal a 3. You see what I'm saying? uh, on a Dogsta, they have well over 100 different levels, and so each one is just slightly more intense than the one before it. Uh, so basically, what the rule is like, okay, so you go, they say, oh, 16 levels of shock. I really hate that term. Lower levels don't hurt. Higher levels can be more are more intense and very uncomfortable, and even higher levels can actually hurt big time. Okay, and unfortunately, this is what people do. They hit the dogs on high levels of shock, and it goes from just being a stim to an actual shock. This is not okay unless you know precisely what you're doing. And the average dog owner, dog parent, uh, and even a lot of trainers have no idea what they're doing with these. And so, as a matter of fact, as I said earlier, I am going to be seeing a client today. Hopefully, uh, Lee will be okay with me filming the session. This is going to take place over probably 2 to 3 hours. It is not something that you rush. Uh, and we are going. He wants me to work with Dolly because Dolly refuses to come. Her recall is terrible and such. I'm like, okay, well, let's go see what we can do for Dolly today. So, guys, you know, do come along with me and let me show you how I personally introduce the dog to these collars and how quickly they work once we start actually doing the training. And usually it just takes a few minutes, maybe a few times, and the dog gets it. I will be leaving one of the collars with Lee. Lee's generally pretty good about following directions very, very well. But we're going to go and see and how this works out. Thank you so much for watching. Sorry I get a little adamant about things at times. I'm just really fed up with all of these people coming in and talking about how bad these collars are. The collars are fine. It's the people who are trying to use them who have no training, no skills, no real knowledge on how these work, why they work, and how to go about making them work. You know, people know how they work. Oh, well, they shock the dog. No, this is not how it works. They stem. Okay, and each level gets higher, which is more intense on the stimulation. It goes from a simple stem to it can be pretty intense to a higher where it can actually cause a lot of pain. Dude, I mean, what are you going to do? Are you going to take the tweezers in to pull out the little splinter that you just got in your arm or your finger? Or are you going to bring in a scalpel to slice open the whole arm to get a splinter out? I mean, what are you going to do? And unfortunately, most people bring in the scalpel. Okay, the window on your house needs to be fixed. Are you going to bring in a wrecking ball to tear down the house because the window is not working? Same thing. No, hopefully you will just replace that little piece of glass, or maybe you'll put a little bit of putty on the side or whatever it might be to stop the leaking. Better yet, maybe you just simply need to clean out the track so the window will slide back and forth. There's no need to tear down the house. Same thing with the collars. Very often, simple vibration will work, and there's no shock involved at all. I would say in approximately 85%, 85% of the cases, that's all that's needed that I work with. Um, and for many people who have tried these and have had good success with them, they say the same thing. It's either the audio, which is the beep, or just the vibration. There is no shock involved. So, folks, I'm finished with my rant. I hope you found this somewhat educational. I do, as I said before, I am pro I am pro e-collar. I'm pro equipment. I'm pro tools, and tools can be anything, my friends. Really, it's your voice, the way you touch your dog, the way you move around your dog. Like that's kind of like the cyberspace thing, okay? Um, so yeah, and I know that sounded kind of weird. Forgive me for that. I'm into computers too. But anyway, um, you don't have to go overboard with these. And without proper training and instruction and such, these can be very, very bad. But you can take a typical everyday leash, wrap it around your dog's neck, and hang your dog and kill it. You can take that same leash in a fit of fury and start hitting your dog with it and cause some very severe injuries. Okay? You can use your voice to make your dog one of the happiest creatures on the planet. Or you can terrify your dog with your voice. You can take an e-collar and communicate in a very humane and loving way, or you can use it inappropriately and cause harm. Binary, yes, no, on, off, humane, not humane. And that's the way we teach. So again, my friends, I hope you found this interesting. I do get a little emotional, as I said before. Uh, and if these tools are banned, it's going to cause a lot of dogs to be put down, honestly. It's not just e-collars, it's not just prong collars, it's about tools in general. Some countries are even trying to ban crates. And these people are not real dog trainers. They're caught up in this hype about, you know, abuse. What constitutes abuse? Well, uh, there's a lot of things in my book that constitutes abuse. I will talk about that at another time. And once again, I see my videos becoming too long and too wordy, and I'm starting to kind of go off in the wrong direction again. So I'm working very hard right now at trying to stay on subject. I have so much to share with you, and I tend to trail off in various areas. Please forgive me for that. Making my videos a little longer than what they should be. Sometimes I'm thinking about this thing, and I suddenly add something into the video that seems like it's totally unrelated, but I'm thinking something completely different. So please forgive me for that. I am learning. I am doing my very best to try to stay on track. So anyway, as always, guys, if you don't train your dogs and respond to them when they're doing the right thing, in a positive way, you can't blame them. I mean, we train our dogs every day that we're with them. We teach them every day that we are with them. Every moment we're with them, we're teaching our dogs something. Whether or not it is a scratch behind the ear, or telling them no, or whatever it might be. We are interacting, and every time you interact with your dog, you're teaching them something. So, anyway, I'm going to go ahead and let y'all go now. As always, if you don't train them, folks, really, if you don't train them for doing good, then you're training them for misbehaving. So it's up to you. So if you don't train your dog, you can't blame them for bad behavior. Thanks so much again for watching, and we'll see you next time.